So this is called stopping and noticing. Now, Zen coaching is coaching from a space of meditation. Zen means meditation. So it's coaching from a space of meditation, and it's coaching into a space of meditation. And the beginning of meditation is to stop and notice. Just this moment to stop the activity of doing, stop the activity of thinking, and just engage in the experience of this moment in the sense of noticing it. And when there is noticing of this moment, there is also the space of noticing. So there is the one noticing, the space of consciousness noticing, together with that which is being noticed. So, what is Zen coaching? Well, it consists of two things. So one is, as I mentioned, the Zen side, which is meditation, presence. And the other is coaching, which is a way of supporting people in accessing their inner resources. So what I love about coaching, to say that first, is that it's very much a kind of equal relationship. It's not that the coach is above the client and giving advice. It's more like two friends meeting, and the coach is mainly asking questions. So you could say to be a coach is kind of a humble position. You leave the expertise as much as possible to the client, and you leave yourself more as a listening space. So to be a coach is also a practice of meditation, where you enter a spacious, allowing, empathic type of listening, and you allow an intuitive questioning. And the questioning in Zen coaching is very much geared toward saying yes to the present moment. So to cut straight to the key point is that when we are fighting our experience, we suffer. And when we are in a yes to our experience, we find peace and the space of being opens. So this very fundamental principle that yes is peace and no is suffering is the key point that we use. So as a coach, as a listener, we support the yes. Now, the interesting thing is, if you want to support a yes, you have to be in a yes to the no also. So in other words, we are not fighting the resistance, but we are also saying yes to the no. So basically, we are saying yes to everything. So the Zen coach needs to be in a total yes to the client, which means a yes to everything happening in the client in the moment. And this takes me to the next principle, which is in Zen coaching, we meet the client where they are. So the key question we ask is, what is happening in you right now? And whatever is happening right now, we consider it the right thing to be happening right now. The thing that is happening right now is the right thing to happen right now. In the moment, the wrong thing cannot really happen. How do I know what is happening should happen? Because it is happening in this moment. The mind has its own ideas, what should happen. But if we can support this yes, then we enter into a flow and something larger takes over. So meeting the client, meeting the other person where they are, in a total yes to where they are, which means we are not trying to fix the other person. We are not even trying to help the other person. So the paradox here is, how can I be a support if I'm not trying to help? So I call Zen coaching helping through non-helping. When we let go of the idea of helping, when we find a yes to whatever is happening in this moment, then the intelligence of life itself starts to move. So it is a way of supporting the intelligence of life itself to flow, to unfold in a harmonious way, you could say, or in a non-obstructed way. So in this webinar, I'll share some principles and we'll have a dialogue and maybe some little exchange, coaching, mini coaching, based on some of these principles, so you can see how it works in practice. So I'll mention a couple of other key principles. So one slogan we use is, you are what you long for, or you are in your essence, in your being, what you most deeply long for, or what your heart longs for. So that's the one principle. And then there's another principle related to longing, which is, if we identify a longing which is alive in the moment, and we don't follow this longing outside towards external gratification, but instead sit with the longing as a felt experience here and now in the body. We feel the longing, we stay with the longing in our bodies, then it actually takes us to that place inside, which is the fulfillment of the longing. Since we are what we long for, the longing can actually bring us to that place where the longing dissolves into that which it has been looking for. For instance, I long for peace, I stay with the longing, and suddenly I become peace. I long for support, I feel a lack of support. I stay with the feeling, in my body of the longing. Instead of thinking about what I miss, which is going outside, I go to the sensation of the longing inside. See, missing is a kind of mental process. I'm thinking about what I don't have. So instead of thinking about what I don't have, I go to the sensation of the longing. A longing is a physical sensation that can be felt in the body. And it's like a door entering into our being. So that's another principle. Now, a third principle related to that is, when we take that path inwards, we will often meet some serious resistance, some painful emotions, some sadness, some fear, some pain. And then we say, oh, something's wrong, this is not right, it's getting worse. If I allow the longing, I feel worse. And then we go away from it. This is one reason we don't want to know what we long for, because there is often a sense of painful lack and painful sadness there, which is basically a form of deep vulnerability. Now, if we allow that, so if we don't fight these feelings, they will simply unfold within us, they will release within us. It can go fast, or it can take some time. It can go in 30 seconds, 5 seconds, in 5 minutes, 20 minutes. But at some point, if we stay with all the discomfort that arises and the thoughts, when we connect with a deeper longing, then suddenly a shift will happen, and again we will discover that I am what I long for. Okay, another principle here is that there is a function in our mind which is not in approval of us meeting painful feelings. And this function is the superego, or the inner critic, inner judge. So this voice inside has some ideas about what we should feel and how we should be living life. And if anything isn't matching that ideal, and there are thousands of ideals, then this voice inside will say, it's wrong, you must do something. Or you are wrong, or you are bad, or you shouldn't feel this. And everybody knows this critical voice inside. So this voice was necessary at some point in our life to manage, like in early childhood. However, as we grow up, as we have become grown up, it doesn't really serve a very helpful purpose. So in order to practice to be where we are, to ask what we long for, to stay with the feelings, to find the yes, we have to find the no to that voice. So the no to this critical voice is a yes to what I'm feeling in the moment. So now I've flooded you with some major principles that took me about 20 years to understand. So let's see where this lands with you guys. So maybe if somebody has a question or a comment, you could type that, or you could unmute yourself and just speak. Or you could post a comment or a question on the chat. So where are these words landing in you?
Okay.
So who is speaking now?
Małgorzata.
Małgorzata. I'm trying to find you here.
Let's here.
There you are. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hi. It's my first webinar, so I'm feeling a little bit strange.
Okay. There you are. I have you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My question and my comment and question is, if I have to allow.
You don't have to allow anything.
If I want to allow, I'm allowing.
Your nature is allowance. Your being, your being is, your consciousness is the nature of allowance. So allowance is not something you do, it's something you discover as your fundamental capacity and nature. You are the space of allowance for all experience. So allowance is not a doing.
Mm-hmm. And what about my energy?
What about the energy?
Because I have the feeling that there is what I have. Where can I put my energy in this space? Where can I find place for energy in this space?
Well, energy is one experience in the moment, and this energy can either be just felt as an inner experience, or it can be expressed in some kind of action.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a natural way. Energy is either enjoyed just in its own nature, or it moves into some kind of contribution to the world.
Mm-hmm. Energy push me to act. No, I have the feeling that my energy, I want to act. So I'm just trying, to allow, and maybe not to act immediately, which is of course difficult.
Okay, and what happens when you do that, when you practice that?
I have the feeling that energy wants to make, to spring, to.
So what's the problem when your energy wants to act? What's the problem with acting?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just enjoy acting?
Okay, I will learn. Yeah, I'm going to learn how to do it, because this allowance is for me a passive feeling, and maybe this is the point.
Okay, so that's a misunderstanding about the nature of allowance.
Okay.
So allowance means consciousness. It means to be conscious while living. So basically, it means to not be identified with some aspect of the mind, but to have space.
Mm-hmm.
It means to have space around your experience. So for instance, if I'm out jogging, I'm in a space. There's a space around my experience of jogging while I am jogging. So the jogging is active, but the allowance is simply the consciousness that I'm jogging. There is the awareness that jogging is happening while I'm jogging.
Thank you, Kåre. Now it's clear.
Now it's clear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there is a question on the chat from Tilda. When we long for connection and it feels too big to just ask for more connection, and the first feeling that arises is the lack of connection. How do we just ask for what we long for when what we long for is huge? Okay. Well, see, what I'm teaching here now is not how to ask for what you long for. That's a separate thing. So of course, it's good to be able to ask for what you long for. But the question is, what awareness do you have while asking? Do you have the awareness that ultimately the longing is fulfilled from the inside, and that the external, what I can get from the outside, is simply a kind of a dessert, like an extra bonus? Or do you believe that you need connection to be given to you from the outside? So basically, if you long for connection and you say it's huge, well, then it's a strong longing for connection. So if you close your eyes and you say inside yourself, I long for connection, and you feel that in your body, I long for connection, you feel an intensity of energy. It feels huge because it's intense. And probably it feels intense because there are a lot of undigested emotions related to that longing. So that's where the work comes in, or the challenge. Life is asking of us to face discomfort, to say yes to uncomfortable feelings instead of running away. So instead of making uncomfortable feelings our enemy, we see them as actually as friends. They are there to teach us something, to show us something. Often they are related to some inner child which we have been pushing away. And by rejecting those feelings, we are actually rejecting our inner child. And in rejecting our inner child, we are rejecting our possibilities for true connection, for love, for tenderness. So this intensity of longing belongs to the child, inner child maybe. So the key is to be willing to face what Almaas calls the holes inside, the lack. This intense feeling of lack is actually a physical experience which can be called an inner hole. And it is what we try to avoid feeling, and our whole personality structure is designed for us to avoid feeling these holes. And the inner critic is supporting that. So what I'm saying goes against our whole instinctual survival drive, which wants to keep us away from these intense feelings of lack. And what I say is, go toward the feeling of lack, embrace it. It's actually a tremendous gift there. That's the key. And it turns out it's not so terrible to meet those places as we thought. We are big enough. They seem so difficult to meet because we are identified with some small part of who we are. But as we recognize the space that we are, it's less impossible to say it like that. To have the intention and willingness to meet and feel your most unwanted feelings. So when a client comes and has these feelings, I am actually quite happy for the client because I see a great opportunity. It's like the client is very close to some kind of breakthrough. When the client is just reflecting and analyzing, we're quite far away from any significant change. Analyzing and thinking about our life generally doesn't lead anywhere most of the time. We spend a lot of time analyzing our life and trying to figure it out. And it actually keeps us away from this vulnerability inside. So Frederick asks me to say something about my vulnerability and my challenge with myself today. Okay, so Frederick wants to hear my vulnerability. Yeah, so if I'm going to use myself as an example, I find hosting webinars much more challenging than having a group of people in the space, because now I have this whole technological interface. And I actually long to contribute. I have a longing to contribute, and I have a longing to connect. And I have a longing for clarity. So I have all these longings. So there's a little insecurity that, oh, will it be good enough? Or will I be able to provide what I want to provide? Will I feel connected in myself while sharing with you guys? So that's before I start, but also during now the 27 minutes we've been going. I can feel challenges inside, like there's connection, and then there's a challenge of feeling fully connected. I can't see all of you. I have to include other people. So this little insecurity inside, this kind of a little stress, I simply allow it to be there also. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. And I remember, like, it doesn't matter. I'm just showing up. I'm showing up here for you guys, sharing what I would like to share. And it's going to be as good as it's going to be. And that's going to be good enough. It has to be good enough because it's not going to be better than what it is. So I just remember this. And then I remember that I'm not here to prove anything. So when the critic comes in, oh, you have to remember you have something to prove. You have to be so good or something. Then I remember, no, wait a minute. Go away. Nothing to prove. I'm not here to prove anything. So that's a little example for my process in this moment. So we just enjoy the silence for a moment. Just notice how that is for you to just hang out in silence together in this way. So I'd like to ask all of you, what's happening in you right now in this moment? Just check. Just check what's happening in you right now in this moment. What do you notice? And then check, are you in allowance? Is there a yes to let this experience be here just as it is, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable? Just check. Is there a yes? Is there allowance? And if the answer is no, actually there's resistance. You're fighting with it. You don't like it. You don't want this feeling or thought. Then check if you can be an allowance to that no, to that resistance. And notice what happens then if you just check if you can be in a yes to your no. And if that's not possible, see if you can be in a yes to that difficulty and allowance to that. See, the yes is somewhere. It may be hidden, but we can find it because it is our nature. So it is possible to find it. And it's not something we create. So again, I want to ask you what's happening in you right now, and I invite you to type your answer on this chat if you're willing. Any curiosity? Lovely silence. Daniela, mind jumping. So if your mind is jumping, just notice your mind is jumping and don't engage. See if you can disengage. Just let it jump. Don't try to stop it from jumping, but don't engage either. See if that's possible to find that place where simply you let it jump, but you're not jumping in with it. That's my invitation. Calm. Elena, relaxing. Tatiana, openness and tenderness. Tilda, slightly disturbed, confused, and engaged and curious at the same time. Kalu has a strong feeling in your belly and a little bit nervous, but there's a good feeling there. Worry about my business project, lot of tasks. So Areski Hernandez, does it help you in any way to sit here and worry while you're engaged in this webinar? If not, why do you engage in your worries right now? What does it give you to engage in your worries in this moment where you're not doing anything about it anyway? Nora, notice restlessness. And you're curious what happens if you say yes to your restlessness. See, if you can say interesting to whatever you experience, then you have no problems any longer. Chipfied, glad to have a chance to just be. And Price is longing for more connection than you have judged video can allow. So there's a longing for deeper connection, Price. I think I see you up there on the screen. There he is. So when I mention you and we wave to each other, how's your sense of connection then? I can't hear you.
There we go. No, that was nice. It was like, oh, look at that. I'm seen now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're seen, there's a sense of connection. Yeah?
There is. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also a key point. The power of coaching is that we let people be deeply seen. So we can see people on the surface, we can see people a little deeper, and we can see people at the deepest level. And the deeper we see people, the more satisfying it is. So to be seen is hugely healing in itself. And at some point, we need to do the work ourselves also, of course. So, like now I connected with you and we have a sense of connection and it's nice. It's good. It's good for you. It's good for me. I also feel the connection. And if we didn't have, and if you didn't have, that would also be an opportunity. That would give you the opportunity to sense your own longing for connection and to say yes to this feeling of lack of connection. Because a lack of connection basically means a disconnection from yourself. Every unmet need means a disconnection from myself. Every longing is a longing for myself. I'll say that again because it's quite a significant thing. Every longing is a longing for myself, my own being. And every problem, every lack is simply a disconnection from myself. So the solution to every problem is a reconnection with myself. So in Zen coaching, this is what we're concerned with, supporting people in this inner reconnection. And then the fulfillment is from the inside. And then the situation may be exactly the same, but it doesn't appear as a problem. But we still may want to do something. So then we support Okay, what do you want to do now in this situation when it's no longer a problem, but simply an interesting challenge? So I would like to ask you guys, especially those who are new to this, if anybody is sitting with a emotional challenge in this moment. And we can have a little exchange and we can see how these principles apply in practice in a dialogue, coaching dialogue. Can you repeat what you said about daring to meet and face our worst feelings? I said this is the key challenge in life and the key opportunity. When we understand that these feelings are not our enemies, but an opportunity. And when we can start to be curious about those most unwanted feelings, then they become doorways to an inner dimension. So these unwanted feelings are also often related to our inner child, which we have been pushing away. So it's actually a way to reconnect with ourselves. It's a way of practicing self-love. So those were some words about that. And right now, I'd like to see if I could have a little dialogue with one of you. Is anybody willing to explore some challenge you're facing? It's an opportunity to maybe shift something as well as contributing to the learning of everybody by sharing yourself. And it may be a little bit scary. So who is iPhone? What's your name, Mr. or Miss iPhone?
Moment. It's Małgorzata. I guess it's me. Is it me?
I lost my mother.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay, let me find you here. There you are. Yes. You lost your mother, so that's the situation.
Yeah.
So everybody will lose their mother in one way or the other. What makes it a problem? Is it a problem, or is it
the
simply
feeling of a? It's a feeling of a huge lost, huge hole in my life. She disappeared so unexpectedly.
How old was she?
Suddenly. It's the same question I'm always getting. She was old. She was 87. Old enough. But still for me.
My father is 88 and my mother is 85. And I always think that this kind of situation can happen. Suddenly, from one moment to the next, it's over. So I expect the unexpected in this matter. But then I almost had a very bad traffic accident a few days ago. So I told my father, who's 88, you're 88 and I'm younger, but we never know who goes first. Life is unpredictable. But now your mother left in her physical form. She left. And you feel a big hole There's a sadness.
And I still have problem to accept it, to give this allowance, as you said.
Allowance to what?
That she's gone. She's no more here.
She's no more here in her body. Is it true that she's no longer here in spirit?
That's I don't know.
Yes, this you don't know. So it's good to be clear that you don't know that. Her body is gone. Yeah. When did it happen?
6 months ago.
So her body is gone.
24th of April.
So her body is gone, and her spirit and being you don't know if it's gone or not.
I don't know.
How is it to say I don't know to that?
Troubling.
Is it troubling?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it troubling?
I would like to know. I would like to know. This is the stupid, feeling to wait for a sign, waiting for a sign from her.
Well, if you feel into your own heart, can you feel her there?
Not really.
Not really. So you said there's a big hole. You feel a hole. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
So how do you feel that hole, and where do you feel it in your body?
In my breast.
In your chest?
In my chest, yes.
Yes. So if you just let yourself feel this area for a moment, physically. Can you?
Yes, it's like like a real hole.
Yeah, so if you let yourself feel this hole, just for now, just let it be there fully. Let it be fully felt. What's happening now?
I was trying to go there, like with a feeling that you are handing my hand.
Okay.
And you introduced me to that hole somehow.
Yes. So I'm holding your hand.
And now it's less scary.
Okay. So I'm lending some support, makes it more possible for you to meet this hole. Yeah?
Yes, you invite me to go there.
Okay, so just give it some time now and see what happens when you go there. Just feeling it.
Now it's like a kind of lake.
It's a kind of lake.
A lake.
Yeah.
Filled with water.
Yeah, a lake filled with water.
But it's quiet.
It's quiet, so it doesn't sound so terrible right now. It's a quiet lake filled with water. Sounds quite nice. How is that for you?
Not so scaring.
Not so scary. Huh? So just stay with that feeling and picture and see what happens.
I have the feeling that I have to cry, you know. This water has to go away somehow.
Okay, so you had the intuition and the feeling that this lake was a lake of tears, actually.
I think so.
Yes, and I see you're smiling.
Yeah, because it's revealing.
It's revealing. It shows you that you simply need to allow yourself to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Exactly.
and it makes you actually
Exactly.
happy. It makes you happy to see that because it's true. There's a truth in it.
Thank you, Kåre. Thank you very much.
So before we end, where are you now with this?
Lighter of 10 tons.
10 tons lighter. So I invite you to look at your mother from this place now. Just look at her. And notice how that feels. Or just send.
She's free.
She's free. She's free. And maybe you're free too. Huh?
I have to allow myself to be free. But with this, yeah, I'm free. Okay. Oh, Moshe.
What does that mean?
My God, in Polish.
Good.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękuję. Dziękuję, Kåre.
So this was an example then of me simply inviting her to stay where she was. And then I don't know where that will lead her, but I know it will lead her some good place because that's how life works. If we stay with our experience with allowance, life takes us to a good place. That's a money back guarantee. Not exactly, but that's how life works, simply. I can't prove it, but I've seen it 1,000 times. It's more an insight. We can spend months and months and years to avoid feeling a certain feeling. And then we let ourselves feel it for 1 minute and it shifts. We can be stuck for 50 years trying to avoid one single feeling. And we allow it fully 100% for 1 minute. and it shifts and opens. That's the incredibility of this principle. Of course, we don't know what we will meet. I have no idea what will show up. Maybe other difficult feelings, but in this case, not so much, really. So I am not guiding people towards a destination that I believe they should go to. I'm guiding people to stay where they are because that's where they are. That's the truth of the moment. And there's this kind of a surrender to this moment. And in that surrender, there is the consciousness of the moment as well. So experience and the experiencer somehow are one in the unfoldment of some kind of inherent, intrinsic intelligence, wisdom. And we begin every dialogue with some kind of clarification. What are the facts? So that's why I asked these other kinds of questions in the beginning. How old was your mother? When did it happen? You know, we get the facts first, and then we see what's... Because we want to separate fact from interpretation. That's where we get into a lot of trouble, when we treat our interpretations as if they are facts. We just want to separate the facts from the interpretations and from the emotions. Facts are facts. Facts are neutral. They are simply facts. So we begin with the facts. And that's something unemotional, but it's very important to be clear about the facts, to separate what is a fact, what is a feeling, what is an interpretation, what is a critical thought, what is a physical sensation, which aspect of being is arising. So to learn to really be able to be clear what exactly is arising in the moment. That's the key skill we develop over time. But the shift from being identified with some mind stuff to not be identified doesn't really require any time. It happens in an instant, this instant. Okay. Somebody else wants to say something, have a little dialogue. I prefer to have a dialogue instead of me sitting here talking into my computer with all these flat people on it. So if somebody would be willing to say something, I would be appreciating it. Can be anything. Comment on what you've heard, what's going on for you right now. Question.
Can you hear me now?
I hear somebody.
Yeah, Tilda is my name.
Tilda is speaking. Do you have your video as well?
Yeah, I switched it on right now.
There you are. I see you. Hi.
Hi. I'm working a lot on myself this year and looking back at childhood difficulties.
Yeah.
And I feel that I am very much with all the feelings that emerge.
Yeah.
But also from listening to you, I realized that with a little bit of help, like Malgorzata said, like that you're holding the hand or something,
Yeah.
but it feels like that, then I
Yeah.
feel that I might be able to go a lot deeper, probably. But I don't feel it's enough time right now. I don't know. I don't know where to start.
Well, there's a good place to start, always. You know where that is?
The here and now, perhaps?
Yes. Yes, exactly. So if I ask you what's happening in you right now in this moment in your body?
That I feel kind of nervous. Kind of,
Yeah.
I feel, it's like I feel a lot. So I don't know how to put it into words. I guess the feeling is sadness.
What's the physical sensation most dominant right now?
My stomach is kind of contracting.
So your stomach is contracting.
Yeah.
So if you let your stomach contract, just feel it. Don't fight it.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, let your stomach relax. So I was shifting.
Yeah, yeah. That's
so,
the mind.
Yeah.
That's the mind, yeah.
So
if your stomach is contracting, let it contract.
Yeah.
So the sentence is, feel it, don't fight it. So what happens when you just allow your contraction in the stomach?
Yeah. It's there.
It's there.
I don't know if it's not really growing, it's not declining. It's there. And it makes me feel a bit like sick. I kind of, there's a small vague pain in my stomach and it's uncomfortable.
So you have some resistance to it, it sounds like.
Probably. Right now I'm just trying to be with it.
Yeah. So
with acceptance.
It makes you feeling a little bit like sick. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and it's really connected to sadness, like uncried tears.
Okay. So there's a sadness in it you can sense.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little technique one can use here called focusing, which means basically talking to the feeling. Have you tried that?
Maybe not.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
So if you sense this contracted feeling in the stomach, which has a sadness in it, a sadness maybe of uncried tears. If you begin by saying hello to it, inside yourself, you just say hello and notice how it responds.
Yeah. I feel a lot more tears emerging,
tears.
like inside still.
Yeah. It responds. When you say hello to it, it's like it's allowed to be. This sadness is allowed to be. Just by a simple act of hello, it feels actually loved, accepted. The power, I call this the power of hello. It's a very powerful word. A genuine hello is a loving act. Hello. And then you can ask this feeling, is there something you'd like to share with me? I see there's a,
Sorry.
you can say, I see there's a lot of sadness in you. How does it respond to that message?
Yeah, it calmed down.
It calmed down.
Calmed down a bit,
Yeah.
a little. Yeah.
Yeah, it calmed down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does your belly feel now? What's the sensation?
Not as tense,
Mm-hmm.
but there is still something. But yeah, it did relax by itself a little bit.
So your belly relaxed a little bit. Now, if you sense your whole body as a whole, how is that?
Yeah, I can feel shifts. Like before, there was a connection between the pain in the stomach and tears or sadness, and now it's more like tension. The muscles on my back are tense, or some kind of protection tension that's shifting.
Okay, so there's some tension in the back. Yeah? And can you allow that to be there?
Yeah, it feels good and new to me to allow it without changing anything.
Yeah, it feels good and new to allow it without changing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a small sense of like, wait a minute, isn't it annoying to stay with to focus on that tense back? It's making me feel a bit annoyed.
So that's your commenting mind coming in.
Probably. And also that there is actually a shift happening. Something is moving or happening in those tense areas on the back.
Yeah.
So I think I actually notice a shift, but
yes.
Yeah.
So there's a shift happening in your back at the moment.
Hmm.
So keep noticing that. I see a smile.
It's also related to uncried tears or sadness.
Okay. Seems to be the theme today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not really a smile. I'm full of tears.
Yeah. So just, if you just recognize that there are uncried tears in you, how is it to simply recognize that?
I know very well that those uncried tears have been a part of me, or I have kind of a relation to that side of me. And I treat it with a lot of allowance and acceptance, but obviously I can't really make the circle go all the way around. I haven't really healed that within myself.
So notice what's happening now in your body. What's going on inside right now?
Yeah, kind of when I heard myself say that, and also when I notice what I feel when I can't find words, like I feel tired of this old burden or old emotion.
Okay. So there's a thought that says, I'm tired of this old burden.
Yeah.
So just notice this thought, okay? And don't do anything about it, just notice it. And then go back to see what's happening now.
Yeah, I think my body feels tired.
Okay, so if you let your body feel tired, how is that?
Yeah, how is that? I don't know how I feel, yeah, the sadness emerges more easily when I can I say, when I still myself? No, when I don't move, when I kind of
When you stop, when you stay
stop,
still.
when I stop myself.
And also notice the space of consciousness, space that's here right now. Can you sense that? It's a spaciousness around whatever you're feeling.
It's difficult because I feel like disturbed from within with all that's happening inside. Or
see, it's not what's happening inside which is disturbing you. It's how you relate to it.
Yeah, probably.
So what's happening right now?
It feels like what's happening is that I'm holding back the sadness because I feel it's not enough time and whatever. So I'm not really with myself completely.
Okay. Well, see, the moment you notice the holding back, you are completely with yourself. You are noticing the holding back. Yeah. So let the holding back happen. Maybe it's a wise thing. Maybe it's true. Maybe there isn't the time and space to go deeply into it right now. Maybe it's wisdom. Maybe it's not blocking you in any way. It's just, okay, there are these emotions. There's something in me holding it back right now. Maybe that's perfect.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. It's kind of self-love, not to burst, but to actually find a place where I can release tears.
So how is it to see that right now?
Yeah, it's just that I thought I did over and over again before. I still carry a lot more, obviously. Carry a lot of old sadness. So, yeah, I guess I have to continue my path.
Well, if you don't make a concept about it, see?
True.
It's just this moment.
Say again? Sorry, my internet is cutting.
It's always just this moment. Just to meet what's coming up in this moment. So you don't know if it's how much needs to be released, how much does not need to be released. You don't know actually. Just to be with whatever comes. Now you had some contraction in the belly, it released. You had some tension in the back, it released. There was some sadness, and there was. Just be curious. You don't know if there's a ocean of tears or not, really. It's like we get these ideas. I have to do this process to get rid of these tears or something. You don't know. It's an idea. The point is to be the space for your experience you can be in every moment, no matter what you feel. Is that true? That's the important thing. Not that you have to do all the steps in some process that will lead you to freedom in the future. No, you can be free now, with or without tears in your system. What happens when I say these things?
Yeah, it's really big words. I don't know if I can take in all that you say. I'm a little bit overwhelmed in a very good way.
You're overwhelmed in a good way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's a recorded webinar, so you can listen to it another time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we have more 15 minutes. There's a question here. Can you talk more about the first module of the course? And I did intend to speak a little bit about the Zen coaching training. So let me say a few words about the Zen coaching training. So this training I have taught maybe 22 times now. It's a one-year journey for the last 14 years in several countries. So it's an organic, every year I change it a little bit. So now I feel it's very rich and complete, although it still keeps evolving. But the first part of the journey I call relaxing into being and the spirit of inquiry. So it's what we do here. We're curious about exploring the present moment. And we learn how to shift out of identification with the mind and into being. And we use various doors, one door being the longing. We use various forms of inquiry work, meditation. But basically, the first module is a reminder that freedom is who we are and it's always here. So the project of looking for it keeps us away from it. So we do many things that make it obvious that this freedom is available easily, actually, here and now. So that's the first module. 5 days. Starts at Ängsbacka now on 20th of November in Sweden, and also in Poland at the end of November. And me, I have another module one at the end of May, also at Ängsbacka. So then after this first module, you can decide if you want to do the whole training. And then the second step is called deep healing and relaxation, because even though we can shift from mind identification to being space easily and quickly, to actually live that in daily life is not easy. Because we have all these places inside of unwanted emotions and fixed ideas. And unless we have explored those, they will generally hook us back into mind identification and suffering. So we do some deeper work facing the holes, facing those most unwanted feelings, and also learning that it's not so difficult to do it actually, necessarily. And especially if we have somebody to hold our hand and we learn what it means to hold somebody by the hand when they are facing the so-called shit. And what it means is to be an empathic space, to not try to guide people out of their feelings, but to invite them to stay in the feelings from this spacious awareness. So based on those two journeys, which is 5 days each, we go to the third journey, which is relating from the heart, relationship. Because this is one of the key, most important fields of human living, is relating with family, relating with friends, relating with lover. So we bring all we learned into the dynamics of human relating and how we can go from drama relating to co-empowered relating, joyful giving and receiving. I could speak a lot about that, but I will not do that now, except saying that I'm inspired very much by nonviolent communication in that work. Then the final step of the journey is called being in action, acting from being. So how do we live in a dynamic expression of being? Because being in action has a tendency to, again, pull us back into a efforting and doing and performing mind. So how can we bring this state of allowing being into our work, into our daily life? So that's the journey, and it's a beautiful journey, life transforming. Many people do it for their own personal growth. It's also a coach training, so you can do it for both reasons. But it's definitely a personal growth journey first and foremost. So that's shortly about the training. So I recommend come for the first 5 days and you'll see if it's the full journey is for you. And yeah, I've seen hundreds and hundreds, 1,000 people do this relaxing into being journey, and based on the effect, I must say it is something I wish for everybody to experience. So, anybody has any questions about the Zen coaching training? You can post them on the chat, or you can just unmute yourself.
Hello, is Nora.
Nora speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can find you. There you are. Hi.
Hello.
Where are you sitting?
I'm sitting in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. So I have a question about the modules. So if you finish all the 4 modules, would you be a certified coach?
If you also do all the required practice, then you will be certified. So you have to offer 25 hours of coaching. You have to receive 25 hours of coaching. You have to do listening practice, to do inquiry practice, to read 5 books, and write a report about your learnings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the elements. So if you do those things, then you will become a certified coach. Basically, the only requirement to get certified is to complete the modules and complete the practice. Then you will be certified.
Okay.
And you have 2 years after you finish the modules to finish certification.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So you don't have to finish it during the modules.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. And you have to do the modules in order, especially you need to do the module 1. Sometimes I let people skip 3rd module or do the 4th module before the 3rd module. You can also do it over 2 years, even 3 years. But as a general rule, you have to do module 1 and 2 in order. And sometimes you can swap module 4 and 3. And once you join module 2, you are committed to join the full training, module 2, 3, and 4. But module 1 is an open workshop. So, many names here. Any other questions about what you have seen this tonight, or about the training, or?
Hello, I have another question.
Okay, shoot.
And actually, I saw a similar one on the chat from Daniela just now. And it's about serious psychological disorders or traumas, however you want to call it. How does Zen coaching approach this?
Okay. Well, it's not easy to give a short answer to that question.
Mm.
But generally speaking, this is a short training. It's 20 teaching days. So it's not like a full therapist training. So we touch on trauma. We touch on shock and trauma. It's an important thing to understand. You don't learn to be a trauma therapist during this training, but you learn some basic understandings, and you discover that with the basic skills of Zen coaching, you are actually working in a way which is very close to trauma therapy in some sense. So you can be of benefit to people who have all kinds of challenges. But you never claim to be a therapist or a healer of these things. So if somebody has some severe problem, you say, I can be a friend, I can be here with you, I can help you meet whatever wants to be met, and we see what happens. And I recommend, if it's something severe, you go to a specialist also in that area. But actually, we can do a lot of support to people in pretty much any challenge, while respecting we are not specialists. We are more like a good friend who can offer an empathic space, which is actually beneficial for most people in any situation. And at the same time, honoring people with specialized skills in different fields. And also that once, if you want to work with Zen coaching and you want to make this your career, then you will want to educate yourself for the rest of your life. You know, when I'm not teaching, I'm a student. So I'm learning more about shock and trauma. I'm learning more about family dynamics. I'm learning more about all kinds of stuff, codependency. The more I learn, the more skillful my coaching is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ongoing process, and it can go deeper and deeper and deeper over time.
Mm. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of minutes. I would like to end by asking you guys how this evening has been for you. If you would be willing to share something on the chat, how do you feel now after this hour and a half? And how was this time for you? How was this evening for you together? Anybody want to share on the chat? Calming, restful, nice and peaceful, important, Malgoshata, very allowing, rich and relaxing, mind opening. That's good. That was one of my intentions here. Heart nourishing and mind opening. Refreshing and inspiring from Mary. Nice to take one moment to the next. Inspired to learn more, Mats. Hope to see you at the training in November. Frida, here and now. Frederick, interesting with accepting what is with yourself without wanting to change anything. Dagmara, calming and heart touching. So I'm gonna unmute everybody, and you can also, Alicia, feeling grateful for being in the Zen Coaching Network. Happy to have you here, Alicia. I'm gonna unmute all of you, so you can, if you want, you can say a sentence or a word or notes as you want. So now you're all online now. So now you're all online now. Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing.
Thank you all for sharing.
Thank you, Kåre.
Thank you, Kåre.
It's nice to hear you out there.
Nice to hear you out there.
Nice to leave you in person. I was watching to your video on YouTube. And now you are here in person.
Yes.
In person.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
In November.
Oh, great.
Okay, thank you. Oh, great.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 See you soon.